in referencing what we want to avoid, you said Trinidad is falling apart.
No.
Trinidad seems to be up in arms about this statement, and I was told there was even a discussion on the radio this morning saying that one of the problems with Trinidad's economy is that they have too many immigrants, including the many Guyanese that are over here. Are you concerned about how Guyanese will be treated in the aftermath of...
Sure. Well, I've had a lot of calls from Trinidadians too who said, we agree with you. I've tracked what's going on in Trinidad and Tobago for quite a while, and what I've said before there is not anything new. Every day it's being said in Trinidad and Tobago itself by people, common people, as well as people in every circle. The groups that come here on the private sector, they say this all the time. Now the fact is that Trinidad, and this is indisputable, that its economy is heavily reliant on one sector, oil and gas sector. That's a fact. I've had discussions with several leaders there about a post-oil and gas economy. So this has nothing to do with just Rowley. This is the fact of the economy in Trinidad and Tobago over a long period, growing to rely only on one sector. There is a theory that that shouldn't happen. Theoretically, the danger has been pointed out, and it's called the Dutch disease. And practically, it has consequences for your country too, and we've seen it happen in Trinidad and Tobago. I recall reading one of their budgets, an earlier budget, not the 2022 budget, where in 1 year they lost 80% of their revenue because of the change in oil and gas prices and the fall in production. To organize a budget when you have such a big economic shock, it is difficult. Things will fall apart, whether you like it or not. And so, I said we are determined in Guyana to avoid going down that path, which has happened not just in Trinidad and Tobago, but in many countries of the world, where because they did precisely what APNU is trying to get us to do, they ended up with those consequences. Now, is it a fact that people are losing jobs? If you look at the newspapers in Trinidad and Tobago, every day you will see them saying, yes, the currency problems, they have currency shortages, and is it a fact that they've had a long period of low growth? Yes, COVID has exacerbated it, but even before COVID, it is a fact. So what I'm saying is not anything new. What I've sat and listened to the worst things, or the most disparaging things said about Guyana and Guyanese coming from leadership in Trinidad and Tobago over the years, over many years. They talk about the fact that we're undemocratic, and if they're not careful, they'll go the Guyana route. And I didn't raise an issue because it's true. Many of the things they spoke about, that our democracy was challenged. So I don't know if they have a problem with truth. The economy in Trinidad is undiversified. It relies heavily on oil and gas. I spoke about when the prices fall, things start to fall apart. And they're facing some of those consequences now. So the fact that our people, I've said also on Essequibo Coast, that when many of our people fled to different parts of the world to escape hardships here, and we're grateful to those countries who accommodated them and treated them well. Many countries, they fled to Suriname, Venezuela, the rest of the Caribbean, the US. And that's why I said we have an obligation to treat migrants into Ghana, particularly from Venezuela, with decency, because they're fleeing hardship. They're not being trafficked through our country, but they're fleeing hardship. So we are extremely grateful for that. But lots of things have happened to Guyanese too, in the airports there. I've spoken. If people underestimate how strongly and how widespread this concern is among Guyanese, you just mentioned which is the worst airport where people are treated well or badly, or where they're treated worse in the world. And you will see the answer will be a resounding Trinidad and Tobago. From all Guyanese, you talk, this cuts across everybody. We're not unmindful of that. Many times I spoke to the leadership over there about that. So we know about the hardships our people face too. And one thing will happen, we will not be bullied. Many people believe they can bully us now into removing the local content that we've set aside for our people to improve on. And Guyanese to now benefit from this. Trinidad and Tobago had a local content policy too. It's hard for many of our businessmen to go there and establish business. They have a hard time accessing land and anything else. And somehow people believe that suddenly these resources, we have a treaty obligations, and we are a member of CARICOM, and we want to be a member of CARICOM. CARICOM is a valuable part of our family. So we will uphold our treaty obligations. But somehow they believe they have a God-given right to displace Guyanese too in our own country from our own resources. And we're not going to stand by the PVP. I see APNU saying, oh, we must respect this and that. We're not going to stand by and allow that to happen. We're not going to. Regardless of how, I don't care who cusses me there and what they cuss me for. But I know our job, we're not going to discriminate against Trinidadians. We want Trinidadians, their business to come here. They can come here in partnership with our people. We're grateful for the support they've given to our people. You have a lot of skills, capital here. They're welcome here. The people are welcome. But they have to come in partnership with our people, and our people must not be treated, sometimes in our own country, in some businesses here, as second-class citizens in our country, in our own country. When businesses are owned here, attitude has to change in relation to Guyanese. We suffered a long time the indignity of this judgment of our people. And so what I said here is something everyone would say and should acknowledge.
If I can just clarify,
Yeah, sure.
I read an article stating that Trinidad's Minister of Foreign Affairs communicated with our Minister of Foreign Affairs on the issue, and
I don't know. Todd didn't raise it with me, so I don't know what he said there. But he said they're trying to clarify. Well, I've clarified. I'm trying to clarify it, so I've clarified it, and it will trigger another debate there. It sounds arrogant, but I don't lose much sleep once Guyanese are moving forward. It's not like hostile or xenophobic, but once our people's interests are protected.
and you're not worried that your people's interest in Trinidad will be...
No, in fact, a lot are coming back. One